welcome to the Real Estate Mogul MD podcast. Thanks for tuning in and taking control of your financial future. This is a show where we not only motivate and inspire, we give you actionable real-world experience to help you live life by design. You'll hear journeys and stories from other physicians, investors, coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs. And now, here's your host, Brett Riggins. All right, everybody. Again, back here today at the Real Estate Mogul MD. Thank you for joining us. Today, we have a very interesting guest, and I'm excited to learn more about the real estate journey. But prior to that, today's guest is an active duty naval officer with over 20 years of leadership and multiple deployments. So thank you, before we even get started, again, to our guest today for her service, as well as everybody out there listening. Just extreme gratitude from everybody on our team and just my family and everybody. So thank you very much. So beyond that, active duty with multiple deployments, she has a journey in real estate I'm excited to talk about, starting with single family in 2018, and then just putting the pedal to the metal and launching into commercial. And now she holds a portfolio of $7 million in residential and commercial properties in 6 states. So today's guest is now passionate to share that journey, share financial literacy, education, empowerment throughout our communities. So without any further ado, please welcome Ms. Lupei Chou. Lupei, how are you doing today?
Hey, good afternoon, Brad. Thank you for having me. Yeah,
Absolutely.
I'm really excited to share.
Very cool. So that kind of gives us a brief background about you, and just a little background about us, our listeners. So we're physician-based. I'm not a physician myself, but a majority of our listeners are going to be physicians. And we usually typically say, well, what got you involved in medicine? But this is a little different since we're both not physicians, Lupei. What got you involved in the Navy?
What work? I'm sorry.
So what drew you to having a career in the Navy?
Oh gosh, I can't even tell you. It's just so long ago. I never. It was never like something I like set out to do. I intentionally. It really just happened. My family and we moved to America when I was 17 years old. I did my last year of high school here. I was actually one of my friends from school, right? Was interested in the military, and then we were just like, this is downtown LA, that's where I was at the time. So, go with me to the recruiting office to talk to this recruiter. I had no idea what she's talking about, like all these things. I'm just like, yeah, sure. Okay. I'll go with you. After school, right?
Uh-huh.
Really, that's how this whole military journey started.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been 20 years since.
Wow. And there's so many pieces of that's led into, what's it called? Civilian life, right? With leadership and systems, processes, all of that stuff. What's been your biggest takeaway that you've been able to gain from the military and then deploy in civilian life?
I think technology is wonderful. Of course, we need systems for everything, right? Like no matter if you're a doctor, you are accountant, whatever. There's some type of system especially nowadays. But really my lesson from being in the military for 20 years is really about the people. So it doesn't matter what system you have. It comes down to people, right? It comes down to take care of your people and really understand the human piece, in everything. So that is really my biggest takeaway.
Interesting. And in real estate, I hear it called a lot the people business. So it's interesting now taking that from, we need systems to operate, but we also need people more than systems, really, right?
Yeah, definitely. System is important, of course, right? Especially in the commercial real estate, you really need to track the data and know your numbers. But but it always comes down to the people, right? You talk to your property manager, you talk to your asset manager, you talk to your repairman, it's really at the end of the day, it's those guys, doing the work, and they have to do a good work to make the property profitable.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's very different though. Really, really interesting. The way you interact with people in the civilian world versus military. There are similarities, of course, but also a lot of
Right.
differences.
What's the biggest difference that you find?
I think, in the private sector, right, in the civilian world, people are more motivated by money, and it's rightfully so, right? It's really come down to doing business about how can I make your business profitable as well as mine. When you work for government, you don't really think about money that much because really we don't see it,
Hmm.
although I think we spend millions and millions, but you don't see that and you don't really get to make a decision on money, right? But in the private sector, it is a very real thing. Really it comes down to how can we, you know, benefit each other.
Hmm.
It's a big part of that.
And throughout your career then in the military, at what point does this rental pop up for you? And tell us a little bit about how your first rental came along. How did you find it? What gave you the idea to do it?
Yeah, so I came back from an overseas assignment in 2018, and I had a house in California, which I purchased like 10 years prior. So when I came back, my husband and I talked about selling that property because we are on the East Coast now, that we're not going to go back there, and we want to buy a home here. So we made good amount of money, from that sale. Really, that is our first, like when we first got idea, oh, what are we going to do with this money? We need to put that into something. So that's how we started our journey. We bought our first rental, single family. We ended up buying a few. So that started everything.
So um, the first sale of your real estate created this arbitrage, this difference. So you've got some money then to invest into rentals. And what was it, knowing that you had to put your money somewhere, what was it about rental properties, Lupei, that really attracted you over, different types of investments?
It's really that sale. So I had this property for about 10 years. And I was not, real estate savvy at all. I had a person living there, like I know, it's not really renter, like a tenant. It's kind of like friend, renting my place, right? Like paying the rent.
Yeah.
So I was just happy somebody's there taking care of my house, paying the mortgage is covered. So I never even checked, like on the value or, monitor if like how is my rental doing. So when I came back, I decided to from overseas, right? I decided to sell this house, and I was surprised like how much the value of the house has increased. And that really gave me the idea of wow, real estate is something we should, just have more understanding, start, learning more about it, because it was such a profitable transaction. And I was completely hands off for like 10 years. I didn't
Mhm.
do anything with that property. I mean, luckily nothing bad happened either, but
Right.
yeah, yeah, amazing.
Very cool. And then you started, you acquired, so from West Coast to East Coast, typically, those are not positions or locations where our money can really acquire as much as we can in other markets. So how are you acquiring these single families in a way that made sense for you to cover the mortgage and stuff like that? What price point? And I mean, not having a lot of knowledge or background, how did you kind of go at this blindfolded?
Yeah, so I did have analysis paralysis for a long time, for like a whole year actually, because I remember we sold the house in 2018 and we just sat on the money for like about a year because we didn't know what to do with it. It's literally sitting in the savings account, right? Like how stupid that was, right? Like I would never do that now.
Yeah.
But I took the time to just kind of like did a lot of like self education, online, looking at different things. Eventually, I did join a mastermind, just so, it gave me a little bit more clarity because it was really overwhelming, buying your first rental property, right? And like you said, I'm in Maryland, which is a place is not very cheap. So I ended up investing in the Midwest. For cash flow. Not like the best, not like class A, but it was a good for cash flow. It's a cash flow market. So that's what we ended up doing after we joined the mastermind.
Yeah, interesting. What mastermind did you join? Do you remember?
Yeah, it's this group called the Warriors of Wealth.
Warriors of Wealth.
Yeah, I did it. It was maybe 3-4 years ago, and I think they have changed their name. But when I was in the program, I was more focused on residential, like up to 4 units because I bought a couple of duplexes. That's what the program's about. Yeah.
So we always encourage everybody to, in that research period, always expand your associations. And those masterminds are great, given they're with the right people and you're surrounding yourself with the right people. But it's a way to elevate your knowledge and then accelerate you as well too. So it sounds like that investment that you made in yourself and that mastermind made a quick return.
Yeah, it's so true because prior to that, I was not in any mastermind. I mean, I was doing my work, doing my thing in the military, doing things with the family. But that really opened the door and opened my eyes to this whole networking piece and how I can, associate myself with. It's also really expanded my social circle because I didn't really have ways to meet people, right? Outside work, my neighborhood, the family. So pretty much that was like my circle, but this really opened up to so many more things. And
being able to invest somewhere that you can't actually be in, you can't walk through. If something happens, you can't be there. That's a risk tolerance for me. And I always talk with people about that because I do the same thing. I have a nationwide real estate acquisition company. I have markets where we invest in primarily for long-term hold, short terms, that kind of stuff. I have that ability and that risk tolerance. What was it that allowed you to make that jump, living on the East Coast but investing in the Midwest?
Yeah, so the program was about remote investing, right? Because a lot of people I see a lot of people from California, right? Like always kind of not wanting to invest in California. So like I have people in my mastermind, quite a few from California, just people from markets, your backyard may not be the best option. So the program is about remote investing. And that's what I think attracted me at first, because I know like here in DC, right, like it's not a good market. In addition to the price point, it's not landlord friendly, right? So it's not somewhere I wanted to invest. So I started, I think the good thing is, like when I started my real estate journey, I started remote. Like I didn't have any property, like I self-manage or, I can take a drive and to go there. So I guess when you start doing things a certain way, that's how you learn and grow. And so I'm comfortable with it because that's how I started. I never had a property just like right here I can, put my hands on.
Yeah, I'm the opposite because I started, it was all basically I was taught to stay in my backyard. And this was like before COVID. And then we had launched our nationwide, our virtual acquisition company, basically at the time, right before COVID. So once I found the ability to build the team, this major thing is having resources in these markets. So those masterminds, those groups, they can give you these, these quick connects with resources, your power team, right? Once I had this power team in these markets and everything was virtual, it gives me goosebumps to think I can watch a project progress via weekly project, pictures, update progress pictures, and I don't have to be there. I don't have to do any of this stuff because I can't. I'm not around. So it removed me from the I can do this, I can do that. It really turned me from being self-employed to being a business owner.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't have an option.
Yes. And that's I think once you kind of get over that initial like worries, like, oh, I can't see it, then it's good, right? It kind of opens the door and really like lift that stress off. So yeah, but having a team is the key. It's definitely the key. Yep.
Yep, absolutely. So going from this single family, and it sounds like you buying duplex, and how many units did you have there, say, in the first few years?
So I got up to 6 doors in single family, residential single family, and it was fun at first, right? Like it was exciting. I was excited about like, buy my first rental property, buy my second one, buy my third one. Mm-hmm. Then it became like, oh my God, it's a lot of work. It's another thing is I'm kind of maxed out on the loan, like like debt to income ratio, down payment. Like I'm just like running out of money at that point. So I had to start thinking about other options. Another thing was I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. I started having tenant problems. I have to deal with the repairs, and I had squatters, and like, yeah.
Well, did you have a property management in this market then?
Mm-hmm. I do. Yeah, I did. I still have the same property manager. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Even though you have property manager, you still have the likelihood of dealing with squatters, bad tenants, repairs. So you still have all of that. But there's somebody out in front of you that's telling you you have a problem with that, basically, right?
Yeah, because the thing is, at the end of the day, I am still responsible. Like, I'm responsible for paying whatever the damage is, right? There's squatter. Like, if we cannot collect rent, we can't get rid of the squatter. Like, I am, like dealing with the consequences at the end of the day, So it was, I remember it was a Christmas. We were on holidays between Christmas and New Year, and we had a squatter there. Just it was really bad, and I was so stressed out the whole entire holiday season.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely weighing on you. What market did you invest in the Midwest?
Indianapolis.
Very cool. Okay, very cool. Great price point. Great growing area. The one thing is like it gets cold there. So you've got climates to deal with as well too. Interesting. And then in those areas, when you are investing in those, have you heard of neighborhood, which similar to property classes in commercial? Were you looking at neighborhoods, similar type ratings, A, B, C, and D?
Yeah, I was probably in I would say like a C-class neighborhood. Okay. Looking for just more, and I also had a few voucher tenants,
Section 8
or Section 8 or some other program, but they aren't assistant. Yeah, it's okay. Like, I still have all my properties, I'm holding them, but I'm just not really interested in buying anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And the DTI, so the debt to income ratio, like watching this, the capital to leave in these deals, in the down payments, these are all things as you're starting to plan or take this process in single family, making these like these pops, ultimately these things can slow you down, limit you, along with, any challenges you may have with the team, the process, the systems, those kinds of things. Were you implementing the BRRRR strategy? So you buy with cash and then refinance?
Yeah, I did a few BRRRRs as well. Yeah, I did. But I would say overall though, like I guess the what I don't like about residential is I remember one of my single family was having issues with, it's like the toilet pipe, right? The one that going to the street, the main one.
Yep.
So like, they suspected, oh, it's maybe like roots, like from the tree is intruding it, it's blocking it. So it would be like a $25,000 repair if that's the case, right? So that would be like 5 years of profit, from a single family portfolio. So I mean, luckily it wasn't, I mean, we did have to spend a few $1,000s to fix it, but they didn't have to replace the whole pipe, dig everything out. But that really discouraged me to kind of like from buying anymore, because I feel like, wow, like, any of this repair issues, if you happen to run into a big one, you can wipe out the profit for years, right? Yeah, that's kind of like my wake up moment, like, oh, that doesn't really make sense.
Yeah. Hopefully in those scenarios, you're able to make sure the property is good to go, disclose any issues you have, and then you can always capture your equity and 1031 exchange into something else, a like type property too. So there's always that ability to capture the equity that you've built.
Yeah. So speaking of the BRRRR, right? So I did do like, I think 3 BRRRRs, and I was able to kind of like, get some money back and pull my capital out. But then again, having a repair issue like this really wipe out with like a bulk of the profit, right? Even your BRRRR profit. So yeah. So it's something I think you always know, right, in the back of your head, just from talking to people, but until it happens to you, you can't really connect with that. Now I'm just like, wow, I have to rethink about my strategy.
Slow you down a little bit. Yeah. Yeah. I've got one property, and this is different markets too are going to have issues, different kinds of issues. And I've got properties in the Midwest as well too. And there's one I know every single year I have to send like a Roto-Rooter type company out and basically send this thing down the sanitary drain to the road to make sure that the roots are cleared out. So I've anticipated that $300 or $400 cost every single year to be proactive to avoid major destruction. So, but there's all these little things, and all these types of things can happen in commercial too. But you're saying there was some point in your mind, Lupei, that's like, I'm done with single family. What was that trigger point for you? What was that kind of introduction into commercial then, if these were challenges for you in the single family world?
Yeah, really, like I said, it was just getting to the point, right? Like, I'm running out of capital. I don't want to manage anymore. It's taking a lot of my time, and I have to do my own bookkeeping, right? That's another piece, all your accounting and bookkeeping. And it was a lot of work, and I'm just here working for free, right? Like me, I'm not getting paid.
Mm-hmm.
So my first entry to commercial, it was a joint venture project, 18 units in Florida. I was on that project with a few other people from my mastermind. So what I like about it is, like you have people to talk to, and really, like, to me, like I like to talk with my partner. Like, I love partnership, like I love to talk with my partners and be able to kind of like bounce ideas. And that was really great, just be able to, I don't have to do everything myself, and I don't have to, be the only person making decisions. I feel like it's better, two brain is smarter than one, right? Like, we're making smarter decisions. There's more resources. it was good. And
Interesting.
yeah.
So the mastermind brought you that, sounds like, opportunity and network or community that enabled you to take that leap into your first partnership, your first deal. Your first deal then, Lupei, were you a limited partner in that? Was it a syndication or was it a straight like joint venture?
It was a joint venture. It was a true joint venture. Because I mean, at the time, I didn't even know the word syndication, like
Right.
what that means. Yeah.
Right. So, just so I'm on the same page. So a true joint venture is basically a partnerships where we have shared equity,
Mm-hmm.
absolute equity. And typically those types of relationships have, agreements where, who's going to make what decision, how it's going to come through, how capital calls happen, how disbursements are made. All of those are laid out in a JV agreement, correct?
Correct. Yep.
And then a syndication is where you have, say, the general partner, right?
Mm-hmm.
The GP, who typically has brought this deal to the table, has the ability to raise capital with other people. And these other people can be, mainly the limited partners who they don't have those same benefits as you would as if you were a partner in a joint venture when it comes down to depreciation, control, those kinds of things. But it gives the general partner the ability to raise more capital.
Yep.
And the LPs are more of a standoff, completely passive, not completely, nothing's ever completely passive, right? Somebody's doing the book somewhere. Somebody's having the conversations, but it's more of a passive approach in the syndication platform.
Right. Yeah. So for this first project, it was a true joint venture. I think there were there were five of us. Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right about the mastermind, because if you tell me, right, like back then, like say, oh, I can own an 18 unit apartment building, like I would not even, like I just wouldn't be able to see how can I do that, right?
Right.
Yeah. But being in this masterminds and just be in the circle, it just give you more, it allow you to see a different path, right? Like, oh, there is a way to do it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And in those situations, too, similar to when you have the opportunity to be a limited partner in an LP in a joint venture situation coming in, Lupei didn't have the experience to put this stuff all together. Lupei was probably bringing capital in that regard, right? But it gave you the opportunity then to learn
Mm-hmm.
what the other pieces or what the other partners were doing. And then you could grow from there. So what happened after that first JV? Then it went to what?
Okay. After the first JV, I think I actually bought another single family because it was like a too good a deal to pass.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
like a cash buy,
Yeah.
like somebody want to just like offload distressed, So
Yeah.
yeah, I pretty bought another single family. I still have it too. I I I started to, I know I moved myself to just educating myself more about the commercial side. I joined another mastermind. This is the second one now. So it's focused on multifamily, but both syndication and non-syndication, just multifamily in general. So of course that is a whole new, right? Like a whole new world. It's like, wow. So yeah. And just kind of like start learning from there.
Perfect. And now you are part of a group called Crown Capital, right? Tell us a little bit about your work inside of that company.
So my role is mainly on investor relations. My partner Noel, as you know, he is all about acquisition. He's our
Hmm.
property guy, right? He's asset manager, and Tiffany is more on the operation side. She's focused on systems and process. So for me, I interface with our investors, and I cover most of that function. But then we all kind of like do everything else too.
Right.
we also do events. We try to do some networking events in person here in DC and Philly, just to, it's always good to meet people in person. You have a different level of connection.
Different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And we've, Noel has been a guest here on the show. Love having conversations with him. He is in Philly, correct? That's where he's at.
In Philly, yeah.
And he is the old school fix and flip guy who has come up through the reins. One of the things that I love that he says is, you judge the jockey and not the horse, right? You rate the jockey and not the horse. So when he's looking at deals, looking at, who the general partner is, what's their background, so it's got to make it easier for you, being in investor relationships when you partner with somebody that is as experienced, educated, and just, man, that's one passionate dude, isn't it?
Yeah, yes, you talk to Noel, you know how he is. Yeah, when it comes to real estate, yeah, he is owing and he's a great partner.
Yeah, awesome. And awesome just being able to be in that group and learn. And now sharing this, you mentioned doing networks. You actually lead the Real Estate Invest HER meetup for the Capital Region, right? Which is the DC area. And that's one of these networking places that you were talking about, correct?
Correct. So Tiffany and I are leading a women's group, real estate group here in the DC area. This group is really about connecting women, empowering women, and just building friendship and having fun and do some real estate. We do the webinar over Zoom. But we also do in-person event where we just go, do wine tasting, having
important
fun,
stuff.
having meeting some new friends.
Yeah. So that's very cool. That's how you get in rooms with people who have the experience and are looking to share that experience with you. So I encourage everybody to look that up. Let that be one of the places. I tell everybody, a guest come on and say, plant the seed, because the seed is what starts that curiosity. That starts is the beginning of everything, right? And then we start having these conversations and we get to meet people along the way that help us get where we want to go.
Yeah. So for the women in the DC area, Northern Virginia, Maryland, we are on Facebook, Real Estate Invest HER Capital Region. So join us. Just come out. No expectation, just hang out on a Saturday, just having a glass of mimosa and having a good time.
Great. That's great. That's awesome. So we encourage everybody to do that. And then on top of that, you're also putting together a masterclass. It's not released yet. So we're kind of like breaking it in a little early here, but tell us a little bit about what that masterclass will look like, Lupei.
Yeah. So Crown Capital has been doing webinars since the beginning of the year. Yeah. Last year, we started last year, but since this year, we started doing consistently, like on a weekly event. And we meet a lot of people through these webinars, but we just wanted something a little bit more structured to kind of figure out, hey, who are really interested, so we can kind of let's do something more structured, like a mastermind, a master class, just to continue networking, but also at this point, we feel we have a lot to give, to share with, if you are considering the real estate space, if you just want to know more, let's connect.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So that's a masterclass that's coming soon. And I think our time is coming soon. I've appreciated our conversation. One thing that I love to lay in here on the end, Lupei, is if you could go back 10 to 15 years and tell yourself one thing, if you can meet Lupei 10 to 15 years ago, what would you tell yourself?
Real estate or not real estate related?
Anything.
I think I would say really investing myself. Mastermind is so powerful, both real estate and non-real estate, right? I mean, there are all kind of mastermind and just like connecting with the people. I didn't really know about mastermind or get into one until I started real estate. But, if I could go back, I would definitely, put myself in a lot of these circles, right? It could be for your health, it could be for spiritual. It's good. It's good to be able to elevate yourself, right? I mean, we all have our friends and family circle, right? It's like immediate circle, right? And sometimes, they may or may not be the best for you. And you want to surround yourself with people who are, who's been there, done that, who's smarter than you. I think that's something I would do earlier if I could.
I would definitely echo that. And I'm sure our listeners have heard me talk about this a lot in my career. Also in my personal life, when I see spikes like exponential growth in myself, and I'm talking my real estate career, my construction career, I'm also talking about my marriage. I'm talking about myself as a father, myself as a friend, myself as a leader. All of these things is based around who I've been around. And in those moments when you do have the opportunity to work near somebody or be around people, don't ever be the smartest one at the table. Don't ever be the smartest one in the room, because then you're limiting yourself on your growth. And when you have the opportunity to pay to be in these masterminds, you have to vet the opportunity 100%. But at the same time, you've got to leave yourself from this limiting belief, like it's too good to be true. They're just out to get my money, all these things, because it is worth it. Invest in yourself. It is worth it. And I think that advice to go back and tell yourself that, I would tell myself the same thing.
Yeah, 100%, right? We live and learn, but it's never too late.
It's never too late. So start today. Well, thank you very much. I hope that some of our listeners will meet you in DC and have that mimosa with you on Saturday, on one of those Saturday mornings, huh?
Yeah, definitely. I look forward to it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for your time today, Lupei. It's been a pleasure learning more about your real estate experience and sharing that with us me and our listeners here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and hope to connect again soon.
Awesome. And to the listeners out there today, again, thank you for your time and, more importantly, your attention, giving us that attention. So hopefully you can take the intention here to expand your association. We hear it a lot. I've been thinking about real estate. I would like to get it started in real estate. Well, take action. The hardest part is making the decision to take action. Everything past that is the tenacity, just to keep doing it. So today is the day to make that difference in your life, and even planting that seed of curiosity, expanding your association. You've been thinking about a mastermind, research it, get out there and do it, because it will change your life. And like we say, it's not only about real estate, it's not only about medicine. It will grow you as a person. It'll grow you emotionally. It'll grow you as a father, a husband, a wife, a leader, a mother, all of that stuff. So suggestion of the day, get out there and get it done. Thank you for your time. If you don't mind, check us out on Spotify and on Apple. Leave us a review. Drop us a 5-star review. We really appreciate it. It helps us get out there in front of other people to share the great news. And if you have any questions for us, please feel free to reach out at info@physicianwealthsystems.com. Lupei can be reached at the crowncapital.com website, and her Instagram. Can we give out the Instagram too?
Oh, sure. Yeah, it's just my name at the handle at Lupei Chou. That's LUPEICHOU.
Perfect. So find her up there on Instagram. You can always find us on Instagram as well too. But until next time, Real Estate Mogul MD, thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Brad.
Thank you.